finally, we get to hear, we've heard Alessandro at the beginning do a meditation for us. And as a member, he gets to do a connect to me slot. That doesn't mean to say he sits there for 15 minutes and sells to us. We don't talk about our businesses, although we find out about each other's businesses anyway, because it's part of the conversation. But you don't have to pitch. You don't have to do a 60 seconds. You don't have to push yourself forward. We get to know who you are, what your heart is about, what makes your heart beat faster, what lights you up, and who you want to help. And that's what Alessandro is going to share with us today. So I'm going to stop my share. If you'd like to put your screen onto speaker view, over to you, Alessandro. Enjoy.
Thank you so much, and welcome everyone, and it's great to be here. I've only been in Collaboration Global, I think about 4 months, but it's been an amazing experience. So I haven't heard many connect to me, so I may talk about things I've never talked about before today. So I think my theme is from disconnected to connected, and I think the last couple of years many of us have been forced to be disconnected from our loved ones. I couldn't see my daughter for about a year. Many of us have been even in worse situations. So it's been a tough time. And I think in that time, maybe many of us have seen that film, The Wisdom of Trauma, Gabor Mate, who talks about how, trauma isn't really talked about. Now it's becoming a bit of a buzzword, but doctors are never trained in trauma, nor are psychiatrists. And how, addictions and a lot of health issues are as a result of covering up some hurt or some trauma. And I think when I watched that film, and I realized that I came to Qigong by chance 35 years ago, but actually it was to reconnect with myself and to kind of dissolve the trauma which I never knew I had, like he never knew he had. I think he was 45. He was a child in Auschwitz, and he was just working as a doctor in Canada. And then at age 45 or so, he realized he had this trauma to deal with. So even for me, it took me, a long time to even realize that's where I came. So I'll just start with my story from the beginning, which was, I was born in Indonesia. Dad worked for the World Health Organization. So at 6 months old, went to live in Tanzania, where my brother was born. And then 2 years old, went to live in Sardinia for a year. 3 years old, went to Belgrade, Yugoslavia. My first language was Serbo-Croat. 6 years old, went to Ankara in Turkey to my first English school. And 9 years old, came to England to boarding school. So by the age of 10, I'd been wrenched out of all these countries. And at that age, we don't know what's going on, but I'm sure there was some kind of disconnect already happening. And especially when I was sent to boarding school, from the age of 9, long way away from my parents were in Morocco at the time. So we only saw them 3 times a year during the holidays. And not to talk too much about school, I'm more interested to talk about how I reconnected to myself. But one thing I do remember from school was when we came to do our A-levels in this country, we decided at age 16, 3 topics to study at A-levels. And I think that's far too young. In Europe, they do the back. They decided at 18. It was too young at 16 to decide my future. But anyway, I wanted to do biology, chemistry, and French. I was good at French and languages. And I remember 3 senior teachers calling me into the room. I think they were even smoking then, yeah, because people did smoke in tiny rooms. One of them had a big pipe. One of them was putting snuff up his nose every 2 minutes. And one of them was, I don't know, whatever he was doing. But anyway, I went in, I said, I want to do these topics because I want to be a doctor. And anyway, I came out of the room 10 minutes later crying because they'd forced me to do French, Latin, and Italian for A-level. So that set my life on a different course. And I think possibly, maybe that's why later on Qigong, not being a doctor, but kind of help with healing was attractive to me. And I came to Qigong by chance. I found myself in a church hall with my teacher in North London. There were 5 people there. But the important thing was I sensed something between my hands. The Chinese called it the qi, but I could feel there was something going on here. And I thought, what is this? What is this energy? And, my life was kind of all right. I had a job, had a car, had this and that, but I was not fulfilled. And I'm not saying I was looking for the qi, but I was definitely looking for a connection. And when I connected with this energy, it sort of brought me back home to myself. But, you know, it took a long time to realize that's what I was doing, was rediscovering who I was, you know, being at ease with myself, learning to love myself again. And just to explain a little bit about the Qi and what it is, and the Gung. Gung is practice, so Qi is energy. So in a way, yoga is a kind of Qigong practice. Pilates is a kind of Qigong practice, but Qigong is 4,000 years old, and the Qi is a beautiful word we don't really have in the West. But you could call it the vital force, energy. But in Chinese, there's about 50 translations of Qi. It's the human energy, it's the universal energy. It's the steam that comes off the rice when you're cooking. It's a round table has good Qi, a pointed table has pointed and bad Qi. Some people we know have good vibes, as we say in English. Some people don't have such good vibes. That's Qi, it's an energy. Yet the plant has Qi. But really the universe keeps us alive. We're given energy when we're born, and it's taken away when it's time to go. So I've been studying this for so many years, and when you even mention the word, it's quite hard to put your finger on it. You know, it's quite mysterious what keeps us alive. Many people think we're kept alive by food and air and water, but if you kept drinking, eating, breathing, you still die. So what is it that keeps us alive? It's actually this vital force. So in Qigong, we're cultivating this energy. And a few lessons just from my Qigong kind of journey. And one is just to be curious. I think as adults, we think we know so much. And I remember my teacher saying, you know, we know what we know as adults. We know what we don't know. But the biggest part is we don't know what we don't know. So actually this idea of being curious is a great asset, and children are always curious. So everything's possible. Somebody mentioned earlier about, I think Raylene mentioned about her child wanting something, and things are possible because we're curious. The ego actually stops working when we're curious. So I remember once I hated sitting with Qigong, and there's a lot of sitting, meditating. And every time I sat, I had this pain in my right shoulder blade, as if somebody was just gently putting a knife in my back. It was killing pain for like 5 years. And I remember once, I was just curious, and I thought, I wonder what would it be like if that pain wasn't there? I was just really asking the question. Sat down, no pain. Never again, that pain. You know, 4 years, every time, every day, suddenly it was gone. So that kind of idea of, you know, switching the mind, using the mind in a way that can kind of be more inspirational. Often in Qigong we talk about unlearning. You know, so many things we're taught by parents, school, are actually not very useful, as we know. You know, a lot of the beliefs my parents had were never useful to me. So it's unlearning things, actually simplifying things, and connecting with this energy. And actually, to talk about the Qi again, I like other terminology, and maybe you can put in the chat, you know, maybe some of you are religious, so it could be God, it could be, you know, what do you call this power beyond your own? I just like hearing the different terminologies, but just to use a few, you know, the field of all possibilities, universal consciousness, let's call it Qi, God, field of all possibilities, which is Deepak Chopra's term. All that is, Oprah calls it with a capital A. Something beyond us is there all the time. And in Qigong, we just connect with that and use it to inspire us and heal us. So I think curiosity. And the other thing is, one thing I really had to unlearn, and I think today's theme is quite interesting, the love theme. About, you know, what does love mean? You know, that's a big word. And I remember when I started my Qigong journey, I was also going for, you know, body work, some massage. And I remember once I was on the massage table and my arms were out like this, like Jesus. And the guy who was doing the massage said, "Why do you think love is suffering?" You know, because I was like on the cross. Like this. And I said, "Because it is." He said, "That's bullshit. You know, that's complete bullshit." And I'd always believed that. So actually, I'd always attracted relationships where I would suffer, because I thought, that's it. That's love. You know, I'm in love now. Suffering, bring it on. So something switched in that kind of understanding of what love is. And then I remember being in my mum's kitchen a few years later and saying to her, do you know something? I used to believe love was suffering. And she had an Italian accent. She said, of course it is. And I thought, oh, okay. Age 70, she still believed it. So I thought, God, incredible how these beliefs are handed down. So unlearning, being curious, and also, what else? Becoming just, in Chinese is a beautiful term, zheng ren. It means becoming a true human being, just becoming who you are. Sometimes we actually, go through life wanting to be something or someone else, and it takes us a long time to actually realize what our purpose is. And I think that exercise today was beautiful that Raylene did, to really, go to the heart of who we are, what we really want. But often we're doing things maybe to impress our parents or, what we think we ought to be doing. So I think finally, after all these years, I decided to take Qigong as my kind of main, if I can call it, profession. But, just being out there helping other people with the healing aspect, because we all have this incredible pharmacy inside of us, but also we all have this connection. But sometimes we forget as humans, we feel a bit isolated. So that's a little bit of my journey, and a few things, experiences that I've had. And one was quite a special one when after a Qigong retreat, I came back and I was driving back through London, and Battersea Power Station was right in front of me. And it's quite an industrial area. Now it's being redeveloped, but it was quite a grim area. But I remember getting out of the car and looking over, the power station and just understanding everything in life, just I understood the perfection, or the perfection in all the imperfections. It was an amazing moment of insight. And then, of course, a few minutes later, it disappeared, But, having that moment was almost like a light bulb moment. And I think for my journey, I feel like often when I reconnect to myself through the practice, through the breathing, through whatever I'm doing, I can love myself better, I can help others, and I can, express myself in the best way possible. So I'm not sure what else. I mean, if there's any questions. Oh yeah, we're going to do a short practice. How many more minutes have we got?
About 3 more, my darling.
Oh, is that all? Okay, let's do a quick practice. 3 minutes then. On just gathering our energy fully back to ourselves. And on the heart side, which is on your left, if you put your right hand over your heart, we'll just do this in 3 minutes. Left hand over the right, slide the right hand on top, and just rest the elbows, close the eyes gently. Just breathe down to your lower abdomen area and just rest in the heart area. The heart is the ruler of all the emotions. So often we may be a bit drained because our energy or thoughts or feelings are elsewhere. So this is a good way to call ourselves back fully, to be present, to settle the heart, settle the emotions, and gather back any depleted energy. Often on the heart side, it tends to be a bit more depleted. That means if you took a photo of the body, you would see the aura on the left side generally slightly out of the body. So this is a way to gather yourself fully back to the present, to where you are. And our power is only in the present, as we know. And one of my friends, Margaret, when she went to China, she asked a Qigong master, what's the most important thing about the practice? And he said, always keep a smile in your heart. So just give a hint of a smile in your heart. Notice what happens. Sense the relief almost, the heart smiling, spaciousness, around the heart. Every cell in the body smiling. Just radiates through the whole body. No matter what happens, even the difficult times in our life, just give that hint of the smile. And a final thing you can do, imagine you're far away in the 4 directions, north, south, east, west. Call your name back mentally to yourself. Sometimes our mind or spirit is elsewhere. Just fully call yourself back here. Call your name mentally back. Settled, present. Gradually you can put the hands like in a praying position. Put the hands down 2-3 times. Move the fingers. When you move the fingers, become clearer very quickly. So if we're working a lot on computers, this is always useful to do. The fingers relate to all the senses, all the internal organs. So always keep the fingers flexible, soft, like seaweed. Especially if you have stiffness in your fingers, definitely do this a lot. And clear the space between the fingers. Helps the spine, helps the internal organs. So you can treat the body through the fingers, as we know with acupuncture, also with Qigong. Shake off. So there was lots to share, but any questions? I haven't really read the chat, but if anyone wants to ask anything.
That was beautiful, Alessandro. Thank you. Absolutely loved that. Any questions, anybody? Go on, Rachel.
I love this. I think it's fantastic. I'd love to know more about this, Alessandro. It's really good. Can I ask a question? When you said about you thought about this pain and then it went, is this all to do with basically controlling your mind, or is it more about something else out there?
I think it's about something else out there. Actually getting the mind out of the way. The mind is never helpful. Never. And I say that because I remember once, for example, I did a class at a sports center, and I didn't know this lady had all these growths on her hand, quite serious growths and very painful. And we just did a practice holding an empty ball. Anyway, we got to the end of the class and I said, sometimes things can shift very quickly. And she said, oh, and she was very embarrassed. She said, these things have gone from my hand that I had for 12 years, very painful things. Is that possible? And I said, well, if it happened, it is. But I didn't know about it. She didn't think about it. But the energy goes to where is needed. And when we have that kind of open attitude, not to put the attention on the problem can dissolve. And I've seen it so often. I've seen cancer removed in front of me in 15 minutes with Qigong. So, when you see it and we have that vision, but we have to have the vision of it, that it's possible. And as humans, we're so into science and proof, but actually the universe, as we know, does things way beyond our little minds. Miraculous things every day. So, yeah.
This is the first time I've heard this word Qigong. So if you were going to recommend one book that can sum all of this up to give you more experience, have you got one in mind?
Good question.
There's so many, but actually my favorite book is the Tao Te Ching. You may have heard of Tao Te Ching. The Tao is the way. This is the second most translated book after the Bible, just by the way. So Lao Tzu wrote it, and it's 81 short chapters on kind of how to live your life. And if the government took one of these chapters, I tell you, we'd have a really good life. So it's how to live your life politically, morally, ethically. Tao Te Ching. I can put it in the chat, but it's just a very inspiring book. And actually, I bought it before starting Qigong 3 years before, and I never knew what I was reading. I had no idea. I just was very relaxed at night, but now I understand it a lot more.
Fantastic, thank you.
Great question. Thank you, Rachel. Anyone else got another question? Go on, Nora.
I'd just like to say I'm a student of Alessandro's, and I've known him for over 25 years, although there was a big gap in the middle when I was abroad. But he is one of the most amazing teachers you could ever have for Qigong. His energy is just wonderful and beautiful. I'm a healer, so I do many other modalities. But having got back into Qigong, it's sort of changed me personally. Not only just my energetic self, but my health and my ability to relax, and the meditations and these wonderful exercises that you use that are so gentle. And the reason I've studied with Alessandro, because he's number one the best, but also because I want to move into helping older people, with Qigong, because it's a wonderful exercise for older people. I'm an older person. And so I've just done the practitioner course with him. So if you're interested at all, he does so many things online. He gives away so much. He's very generous with his videos. There's an awful lot of information and wonderful videos that you can start doing Qigong online. So I'm just here to celebrate him.
Wonderful. What a good recommendation. Thank you.
Oh, Nora, that's
so lovely.
kind. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
So thanks. And I'll just leave you with a quote, one of my favorite quotes, Ram Dass. We're all just walking each other home. So thank you for walking with me and me walking with you today.
Beautiful. And I think Lizzie's got some links that she'll be putting into the chat. So if you want to connect up with Alessandro outside of this meeting. Right. But also he's going to be here every month anyway. So if you want to come back another time, then it's always he'll be doing the meditation at the beginning. For Alessandro, big round of applause. Thank you so much. That was absolutely beautiful. And I know that we are truly blessed to have you in our community. So I'm looking forward to helping you and getting to know more about you, and also to see how we can collaborate and create something amazing together. That would be awesome.